What happened in Spain last week wasn't just a European story. It's a warning for every Western country. At least 72 migrants are dead after a chaotic mass rushed into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta. An estimated 60,000 illegal immigrants poured toward the Spanish territory from Morocco. They overwhelmed border and authorities. President Trump says Americans should be paying attention.
It looks like an invasion of a country by hundreds of thousands of people. And that same thing's going to happen to us if the Republicans don't get elected, except worse. Much bigger, much easier to get into. They're coming in by the tens of thousands. They're just invading the country. And what that is weak law, bad management, but very liberal law.
And it has happened here at home. As for Spain, many of the migrants have returned to Morocco, but officials estimate 5,000 remain in Spain. The country is now installing floating barriers near the Moroccan border. It's an effort to prevent another surge, but the damage is already done. Shelters are overflowing, facilities are at capacity, and the system is buckling. Hundreds of migrants are now camped on a beach as Spain scrambles to restore order. Independent journalist Nick Shirley is there now, and he spoke with a Spanish citizen vigilante.
Why do you think your politicians are allowing this to happen?
If they allow this to become the third world, they know, people in power, they know that they will be able to do whatever they want. They will increase their power because a ruler in the third world is a real ruler. The thing here is that people in power know that if they become this the third world, they will increase their power and their money even more. That's the thing, because they can control the society in an easier way.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are a second late to starting today. We appreciate you rolling with us as we have an announcement for you. Nick Shirley will be joining us live in just 1 minute, and we're excited about that. Nick was nearly murdered yesterday on camera in a small Spanish enclave called Ceuta, or Ceuta, whatever. I don't speak Spanish, okay? So, and it is a cautionary tale for what is about to happen to our nation, or what has happened to our nation, and what will happen in your home city, and what will happen as the religion of peace, called Islam, translated to submission, translated to conquest, continues to conquer. And that is exactly what's happening. Like, make no mistake about it. It's precisely what happened in Spain. It's what's happening all over Europe. And if you care about Western civilization, if you care about the street that you grew up on, the civilization that your ancestors built, that you have to care about these things. Why is it permissible? Like, it's an outrage. Call me old-fashioned, but I remember a time when if an American journalist was assaulted or attacked in the streets, then there would be a full flank of corporate media and press that would galvanize and protect them. And Jim Acosta wrote a book called Attack on the Press because Trump said naughty words to me and mean things. No, this is a literal attack on the press. And we'll talk to Nick about it in just a moment. But how have we descended so far as a society? How have we degraded ourselves so much as a people where we are allowing this young man to get abused and nearly murdered in the street? A bunch of Muslim invaders, there's no other word for them. They're not migrants. Chased after Nick with a knife, chucked bottles and rocks at him. They tried to stone him. And we're like, it's just okay. We just like kind of accept that that's what happens to journalists. I thought we used to like venerate these people for being brave and like defend them when they were assaulted or attacked. But it only goes one way. If you're a left-wing journalist and you're being attacked by the right, loosely defined, then it becomes a national news story because they can get power out of it. They can manipulate people from it. If you're Nick Shirley, nobody cares. And it's brushed entirely under the rug. If it wasn't for X, we wouldn't really even know about this kind of stuff. And so it's our job, and Nick's a hard guy to get a hold of his a lot of moving pieces. It's our job to facilitate these conversations and to expose it as much as possible. And that's what we're doing here today, kind of like with the In-N-Out hero yesterday. Like, it's our job to facilitate as much information and as much spotlight as we can on these things. We can't just complain about the problem with doing nothing about it. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're going to do today. And that's why we're a minute late to getting started here. And yeah, we're going to be thrilled to talk to Nick in just one moment. Ladies and gentlemen, other news in the world we're going to be covering. Convicted murderer arrested for starting the wildfire in Washington. I've been getting a lot of emails about this. The wildfire in Washington is destroying lives. Not many people are talking about it. We'll talk about it today. Rudy Giuliani will be on the program along with Senator Tim Sheehy and, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Shirley. So my name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Advantage Gold. We talk about it every single show. That's because I believe in it. I believe in ensuring that you have a future, and that's what this entire show is about, is our American future for our children. Let me cut directly to the chase. Very attractive time to buy gold right now. Very attractive number. Gold skyrocketed over the last couple of years. And, well, so is everything else. But most importantly, gold has an opportunity to really accelerate even further as we watch what's happening in the world. What's happening in the world? Billionaires are buying gold. Nation states are buying gold. People are using this as an eternal hedge. They always have. Text Benny to 85545. Benny to 85545. Get your free gold investment kit and learn a simple IRS-approved way to move your 401k or IRA into physical gold tax-free and penalty-free. Text Benny to 85545 right now. Okay. Here we go. It's a very interesting thing doing this profession because I didn't know anything about Ceuta, right? I never heard anything about Ceuta. But I showed this map of Ceuta to people because I needed to learn myself, like where is this place exactly? You can see here that it's on the tip directly across from Gibraltar. And the reason that Ceuta exists, and the reason the Spanish have kept it and claimed it, is that it gives massive territorial waters, this entire waterway. You can now bring ships into the Mediterranean without having Africa mess it up. And what do I mean by that? Well, I think we're all painfully learning that these straits can be controlled by bad people. And if you have the wrong territorial waters or claims on those territorial waters, then you're really in a mess. And of course, this is the mouth of the entire Mediterranean, right? Mediterranean, the breadbasket, the civilizational bedrock of humanity, and still just so many important places border it. A critical trade and military route, and a critical place to control. All civilizations have tried to control it. Greece and Rome built their empire on controlling this. And Spain controls the mouth of the Mediterranean here with Gibraltar. And by keeping Ceuta, they ensure that boats stay in European waters when they traverse the Strait of Gibraltar. So you never have to leave the warm waters of European law in order to get through Gibraltar. So this Ceuta sort of carves out a passageway for, I thought this was very interesting. And so as you have to do a bunch of have to have a bunch of conversations about this stuff, you go through, you learn about it, you click on the photos, and this is one of the photos that I said, wow, this is a pretty cool statue. Look at this. The moment that Nick Shirley posted this photo, I was like, I've seen that statue before. I know exactly where that boy is. Now, he did steal my black t-shirt, and that's cool with me. Nick Shirley is an absolute gangster, but he is in Ceuta. I said, wow, this is going to be bad because the live footage from Ceuta has been really, really devastating and horrifying. And what's going to happen next? I'm not exactly sure. But what happened to Nick next was really, really bad. So a quick recap. Because Spain has a left-wing government that wants open borders, they opened their borders to Muslim invaders. Spain is a nation with a proud history of creating a crusade in order to kick Islam out of their peninsula. And that crusade they actually accomplished and created a Christian kingdom. And thank God for that, because that Christian kingdom funded the Christendom of the West. There's no guarantee that the West or South America or North America would be Christian nations were it not for the richness and the technological advancement of the militaries, economies, and the Spanish people being able to kick Islam out of their peninsula. But in just an afternoon, Islam can come storming back in. And of course, all of these invaders chant Allahu Akbar as they're running in. Of course, they want to get to mainland Europe. They make that very clear. The goal is to get to Europe, to rape and pillage their way through the welfare state and welfare system, to get paid to just simply exist and stand around and leer around. A lot of leering going on in this truck. It is, of course, seemingly the position of the third world. The default position of the third world is standing and just waiting for somebody to hand you something. And that is precisely what they wish to do here. And they made that very clear. They made it very clear not only in their actions by getting to Ceuta and then having, well, nothing left to do, right? They just kind of stand around. And when they're not standing around, they're criming. They're looting the stores. This has been documented. They refuse to leave. They are attacking the locals. And they're creating, of course, a hostile environment, chanting Allah Akbar, creating a hostile, militant environment, not a single woman or child amongst them. And they are, by every definition, a biological warfare of a foreign religious jihad, which is what this is. And all you have to do is just listen. Mentally true. So any Christian not speaking out against this clearly doesn't care about Christianity. And has no interest in the fragile state of Christendom in the West. The threat from Islam is fundamentally unique, as it seeks not just to create foreigners in our culture, but to create an entirely different culture from the bedrock up. From the court system, to move the court system into a completely and entirely foreign body of law, where, of course, somebody who is not a practitioner of Islam has no rights, to the way that we view humanity. These are obviously cultures that view humanity and their interactions with various people quite tribally. It is, in every essence, and as you can see here, as demonstrated in the behavior, very much a caveman ideology. It is totally and entirely based on tribes and blood guilt. It's an awful way to run a civilization, but it is the way that they run their civilizations. You don't want to live inside of a caste system. You don't want to live inside of a system that adds so much filth to your nation. Look at what's happened in Spain. Just a reminder that the leadership of Spain claimed to be environmentalists. They're left-wing environmentalists. Well, look what they've done to the waters of Spain. And this is, of course, a natural outgrowth of an underdeveloped third world and caveman ideology. Who cares? The vast majority of people around the planet are here to strip mine it because they live on the borders. They live on the edges. It doesn't matter if they're polluting. What matters is can I get my welfare? Can I survive a giant raft to mainland Spain? And that's what's happening right now. They are escaping into mainland Spain. They're using this as a launching off point and leaving filth behind. It is incredible. Just a weekend of a third world invasion, a weekend of the third world becoming the majority in your country, and look at what's happened. The environmentalists created this, by the way. Okay. So what's really happening here? Because the federal government of Spain is, of course, clearly lying. They told us that they were all returned. It was a field trip more than anything. This was just a field trip. It was fun. It was a trip to Disneyland. They just wanted to see it and take a couple selfies. Is that true? Of course, that's not true. Multiple reporters have shown that no, this is now turned into a migrant camp, complete with, of course, the quintessential standing around, military-aged men standing around doing nothing, leering. So literally, before Nick Shirley made it a meme, the word leering actually meant something, which is like goons just standing about with nothing good to do. Idle hands, the devil's workshop. There's a lot of idle hands here. And, oh man, things are going to, I think, get bad. And that's exactly what happened with Nick. Nick went to Ceuta. And here's his post. Let's go ahead and refresh, make sure we have the 10 million views, 19,000 reposts, 77,000 likes. It's gone properly viral. And he does a 30-minute documentary. He actually travels there and speaks with the natives and experts and people who speak the language, kind of. It's sort of butchered because there's like 4 or 5 different cultures that are all like mashed together here. And it is a nightmarish scenario that descended into what could have been something very, very scary for Nick. What was very scary, but it could have ended Nick's life. Honestly, listen to
People
this.
here to feel safe, they're walking around with their dogs because Muslims do not like dogs. Watch out, watch out, watch out. Now we got people throwing stuff at us. ¿Qué hizo? Look, he's got the rocks now. He's throwing rocks. Oh, shit. They're throwing rocks. No. Look, now we're getting chased. He has a knife. He has a knife. He's got a knife. He's got it.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now to describe this experience and to break down what he saw versus the government propaganda in Ceuta, Spain, is Nick Shirley. Welcome into the program. Nick, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you're alive, dude.
Yeah, me too. It's always a blessing to be alive.
Yes, well, you've found yourself in some dodgy situations, but, I mean, do I have this correctly? The Muslim invaders who just got there, who have no rights, who have, no claim on this land, who've broken the law just by getting there, just decided that they are so in charge that they are going to stab to death or try to, or stone to death an American journalist. That's how in charge they actually are. Do I have that correctly?
Yeah, they got very upset when I started filming in this one location specifically. And it wasn't even it was out in a public street outside the market where they had just opened up the market because they had markets closed all the past weekend because the city didn't want to get looted. So someone finally opened up a market. I'm going out there. I show that these people are now walking out with dogs to protect themselves because the Muslims don't like dogs. And this guy just starts freaking out at me. Him and another guy. They initially yelling cut the camera, and they weren't even in my shot either. That's the weird thing. And then he keeps following me. I'm like, dude, go away. And then he grabs a bottle from the garbage, throws it at me, and then he keeps following me. And then he throws a rock. They kept throwing more, and then they started chasing me. And the one guy said that he's going to stab you.
Did he have a knife?
Yeah. He reached down, grabbed the knife from his pocket, and then he started running. And then, as you see in the footage, we just started running as fast as we could.
So you believe that this Muslim invader was about to actually kill you? You believe that if he had caught you, he would have murdered you? He would have tried to?
Yeah. I mean, he would have stabbed me.
What is it in somebody, and you've of course seen this stuff up close, what is it in somebody that says, I just got here, I broke the law coming here, and now I'm going to just immediately start committing murders? What is that?
That's a great question. I don't know what it is. I feel like there's definitely a sense of entitlement from these people. I mean, they literally just walked across a border. They didn't just walk across; they all stormed it. It was very much planned um, as to who was going to come over and how many were going to come over. The Moroccan government, the authorities on the other side, the Moroccans told us they let them through to get to the Spanish border, and then the videos of the people at the Spain border of them just opening up the gates. Like there was definitely some coordination that took place because you don't just open up your gate when you see thousands of people in line.
So the locals told you that this was orchestrated and planned, and it was done so with clearly the help of the Spanish government. Do you believe that? Did your reporting show that?
Well, everyone believes that it was coordinated somehow. Nobody knows exactly how. But when I spoke to some of the Moroccan migrants that came through, they said the Moroccan authorities let them through. And then the videos of them at the gate of the Spanish military border patrol opening up the gates is pretty crazy.
The Spanish government says that they have solved this problem and that it was just a weekend event, and don't worry, and none of these people will ever make it to the mainland Europe, and we got this under control. Is that true?
When I was there, there was hundreds, thousands of people crawling out of the mountains everywhere we went, and there was encampments of thousands of kids, for instance. A lot of kids came over all by themselves, and they're all just stranded at the other side of the border. And everyone has the goal of getting into the mainland, and ferry that they could theoretically get onto somehow if they were to sneak in by car, or who knows how it operates with cartels and mafias as well. We know how it works. Like people will do quite literally anything, especially illegally, if needed.
What was their stated intended purpose? Because there's plenty of us that can sit here and assume we know what it is, but you went there and spoke with the actual Muslim invaders. What is their purpose for being there?
There was no jobs, no money in Morocco. So all these men thought, hey, let's leave our wives, let's leave our daughters, let's leave our kids, and let's go to Spain to get money. And let's leave our children and wives in a country where there's apparently no jobs or no money. It doesn't make any sense.
So that's the story they told you. I mean, I believe it, I guess. Like, I believe it on a fundamental human level that you want to go get money.
I don't understand why they would, if they don't have money, why they'd leave their wives with no money in a place where there's no opportunity to make money.
Well, that's right, because oftentimes we're told about the noblesse of these people and how important it is for them to just seek a better life and how moral they are. And it's just everything that your immigrant ancestors were. But that's fundamentally not true. It's actually deeply immoral what they are doing.
Yeah, the modern day migrant isn't the same migrant from the 1800s.
You've seen nobody has seen these subsections and these ecosystems that exist in Western culture more than you. You've gone and you've studied them and you've exposed them. How are they different? How are the modern migrants different than, let's say, an immigrant from Europe in the 1800s?
Well, I mean, if you just look at it, they don't go and they don't assimilate with the people who are already there. They don't go and learn their language. It's interesting when you go to these countries, they're all in like groups. It's not like the British are assimilating and speaking with the Muslims. It's the Muslims in their own part of town and the British are on the other side. There's no assimilation any means. Like, I feel like there's a reason why these countries became so great, and that's because everyone worked together. And now there's like different teams working against each other inside these countries. And that's where you see the conflict take place.
Yes. It seems by design, and specifically they're going after a formerly Catholic Christian kingdom. I guess it still is in some diminished capacity. But do you believe that there's an element of a religious war here? The Muslims had conquered Spain before.
Well, 100%. And that's why they're all coming to our countries. from the United States, we're seeing it right now, and then it's been happening for years and years and years in Europe, and it's makes you wonder like why are they doing this? But then you speak to them, and I don't know what exactly the phrase is because I don't speak Arabic, but they essentially like want Islam to be everywhere. I can't remember the phrase for it, but they want it to be everywhere.
And so why? And so, of course, if you would want your ideology to conquer people, you would send your military-aged young men there, right? Like, because that's what predominantly makes up these groups, correct?
Of course, and that's what they're doing. They're sending like yesterday when I was there, it was just men from 21 years old to 28 years old, and then there was the children that they left at the border, and these men like they're going all by themselves.
And I think you asked them, like, where are all the women and children?
Yeah, and then they said in Islam they stay at the house. So it doesn't make any sense to abandon your wife and kids and go to another country.
What would happen if, and we've all sort of seen the proposals, I mean, we've seen the horrors that have been wrought on our society with open borders or even with legal migration from places where you shouldn't have migrants from, because if you wouldn't want to go live in Morocco or Somalia or Chad or Djibouti or Haiti, why would you bring people from those places that created those cultures to our culture? No politician's ever been able to answer that question. But what do you think? Like, because you just saw it up close. Maybe it's like just been a long time since we've seen an open border. You know, it's been like 18 months of the Trump administration, and the border has been sealed quite tightly, right? So we haven't seen this kind of clip. I think it's shocked people back into the realization that this will happen again in America, like quickly, right? If the left takes control.
100%. They want to abolish ICE. They want to get rid of borders. They think that they have this idea that by welcoming these people that it's the humane thing to do, when in reality, open borders is the most inhumane thing possible. You let kids go stranded. You're incentivizing kids to traffic themselves across the border, where they then get picked up by traffickers, and then who knows what exactly happens to them. People then get over to another country where they don't know the language. They essentially become addicted to welfare because that's the only way they can survive, because they don't know the language inside these countries. Between the rapes that take place.
Just a second, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. Nick is joining us from his car. We're going to reconnect with Nick. I would hate for that to be the note that we end on. Let's try and end on a positive note, I suppose. But our production team is working diligently right now with getting Nick back. We look forward to getting Nick back. He dropped, and our team is getting him back online. So we'll wait for just one moment here, ladies and gentlemen. Because I don't want that to be where we leave it with Nick, and I hope that we can get him back on his Patriot Mobile device. I have no idea if he uses Patriot. I use Patriot Mobile, and we don't drop. Ladies and gentlemen, Patriot Mobile is the cell phone service of patriots everywhere in this country. It's the only Christian conservative wireless provider, but you should also expect excellent wireless coverage no matter what, and it has both, in fact. So it's a company that aligns with your morals, and it's a company that also has premium nationwide service on all three major U.S. networks. The coverage that you need is available on Patriot Mobile. Their 100% U.S.-based customer service team can get you activated in minutes. Patriot Mobile is so much more than just great wireless service. They are supporting our movement, keeping America free. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT. Use a promo code Benny for a free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny. Call 972-PATRIOT to make the switch today. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I would very much like to see if we can pop Nick back on, but I'm checking in with my production team. Nick says that Nick texted me that his phone just crashed and it's overheated, so we might need a few minutes. Well, let's go ahead and jump on over then to more stories, just really quickly, because there's like a trend that I'd really like to, frankly, a trend I'd really like to cover. here. And then I'm going to check in with my team also to see if the senator is ready, and potentially Rudy Giuliani as well, which I'm excited about. To overstate, not understate, but to overstate our point here, ladies and gentlemen, things have been happening in the Western world. God is a merciful God, but in the Bible, Proverbs writes, wisdom calls from the street. Do you heed her? Will you listen to wisdom? Will you listen to wisdom when wisdom cries out? And what Nick has been talking about there, and my producers are saying that he's back in just a moment. Okay, so we'll have Nick back in just a moment. But let us just like establish a couple of quick things that you shouldn't want this in your nation. There's a guy named Jake Lang. Disagree with him, agree with him. It doesn't matter to me. He's an American. He has the right to free speech. Maybe he says naughty things. Don't care. Jake Lang goes out in the street, and literally the same day that Nick was attacked in Ceuta, Spain, the same day Jake Lang gets attacked in America. It's like Nick saying, well, this is happening in America. Yeah, it is. I can prove it to you. Here, ladies and gentlemen, you can see in Dearborn, Michigan, of course, which is a jihadist enclave here in our country, totally foreign and controlled by hostile power with a totally different judicial system and a different opinion on free speech, obviously. I go to MAGA rallies. I go to hundreds of MAGA rallies, political events. We're going to be traveling the nation for political events all fall. And I see protesters everywhere I go. Protesters for Trump, sometimes protesters against us, protesters against Turning Point USA. Okay. Never once have I seen them engaged with like this. This is Jake Lang. He's literally just saying he supports ICE and deportations, and he gets beat, stoned, and the cops have to swoop in to save his life. He nearly gets killed, not in some far off, distant Muslim third world hellscape, but in America, this is happening. Are any of these people going to jail? Are any of them facing any consequences? Of course not. Same thing with Nick. Like, I don't think that those migrants that attack Nick will be facing any consequences either. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Shirley is back. Just to remind us that this is already happening here. Thank you, Nick. Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. My phone
I hate that overheated cell phone, man. That's cooked, and it's always because the CIA is spying on you. Always.
Oh, always,
Okay.
always jamming up the phone. But yeah, to go back to what I was saying,
please.
like open borders is the most inhumane thing possible. So many kids get trafficked, so many women get raped, so many families are displaced because of when these politicians incentivize these open borders. And that's something that the left would never talk about because they think it's humane to bring them over. They think it's humane to bring over people who do not even speak the same language to try and say, hey, if you come over here, we're going to give you this and this. But don't worry, it's nearly impossible for you to work in our society because we speak a complete different language.
If, I don't know why this would happen, but if a couple MAGA supporters attacked you and tried to kill you and stab you on camera, that'd be a huge news story. If a couple like Christian conservatives tried to do this, it'd be a huge news story, right? Like this would be big and the corporate media would cover it. You're an American journalist. I remember a time not too long ago when an American journalist, if they were attacked abroad and their lives were threatened abroad, that'd be a huge news story. Why is this not a huge news story?
Well, it's simply because they don't care. It's similar
to us. It is to us. We love you, Nick. But like,
thank you.
Why isn't this on the front page of the New York Times? I checked this morning. It is not.
Similar to why when 250,000 women were raped, the Me Too movement went silent. It doesn't fit their political narrative.
I would like to ask maybe just like one final zoom out question, which is about breakaway societies in the United States and how corrosive that is. Because again, you travel to these places, whether it's in the streets of New York or in Minneapolis, in mini Mogadishu, you go to these places and you're able to reveal an underbelly that I don't think a lot of Americans, we either look away or we're just not aware of. And that there's like an entirely different third world society that's been built in this country, maintained by our tax dollars, as parasitic definitionally, and they don't have any interest in assimilating. And they don't want to be American. They want to be Somalis in America, right? Or Africans, from sub-Saharan Africa in America, right? Selling ripped off bags on the street. Why do we allow that? Why is that permissible? Why do no politicians ever try and make the case as to why these people are enriching our society?
Well, there's a few reasons why. One is because they realize that when they get these people hooked onto, for instance, these welfare benefits, for instance, 81% of Somalians in Minnesota are on welfare. That then gives these politicians control of a mass amount of people when it comes time to get votes. That's one reason why. And then another one is simply because they don't want to be called racist or Islamophobic or be called any other word that would make them look bad potentially. But nowadays, people are over that. People just want the truth. They just want their dollar to get sent where they intend it to go to, and they just want safe societies. We want high trust societies. And it feels like anywhere you go, you're losing more and more trust inside of each society. People just want to have high trust societies. They don't want to be told that they're a racist or Islamophobic for speaking out and saying a fact. That's what I do. I go and report, and I just let people talk, and I let them say what's happening. I never try to put a political twist on it. It's crazy to see how the media and the politicians will then make a political twist on whatever I go and report on, when I'm just sharing people what's happening from the source.
Yeah.
But that's why they allow this to happen, is because they don't want to. They know, one, they can then control a mass group of people, and then two, they don't want to be called a racist or Islamophobic.
How do we fix it? What would be your recommendation to the Trump administration? And you're right, the media does is so. What the media did to you, dude. What CNN did to you in Minneapolis is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. We called the fraudsters. I will never forget. Oh man, dude, I must play it once a week. We called the fraud CNN. Nick Shirley's a right-wing extremist. We called the fraudsters and said, "Are you committing fraud?" We couldn't reach any of them on phone, and the one we did said no. And so that's good.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, actually. It's pretty amazing. One thing I think that's been amazing about me exposing the fraud is I've also been able to expose the media for covering up for the fraudsters versus the person going out and doing the fraud. I do think there should be a lot more people in America, and a lot more young men specifically, that should have the courage to be able to stand up for what is right. So for so long, people have felt like if they stand up, they'll be maybe they'll lose a job, maybe they'll lose a friendship. But it's past that. People need to stand up, or else everything that we value and that we care about will be gone. And I think that's something I hope I'm inspiring other individuals to simply just stand up and speak the truth when they know it's the truth, and to not cower to these people, especially when they're breaking the law or breaking the crime or devaluing our society. Our ancestors fought and died for America. A lot of people even fought in Europe. And now you're seeing that men won't even stand up.
So yes, sorry for the two-part question, but what should Trump do? What would be your recommendation politically to fix this problem, to stand up?
Well,
would be your
start after the bad actors. Start deporting as many bad actors as possible. There's so many people here that aren't even legal that are committing the crimes. They get away with it. In New York City, they arrested a man who was selling drugs on the streets, who's well known for being a criminal, yet they release him back onto the streets. And just be ruthless. Be ruthless to the criminals, the people that are devaluing our society.
May God bless you. May God bless you, Nick. We're massive fans of you. We support you. We don't really need the corporate press, right, to run these headlines. We can do it ourselves. We have more viewers. We have a bigger audience. And so it's actually our responsibility to make sure that we're supporting you. You can support Nick. My recommendation would be maybe subscribe to him on X. You can do that with one click on X. That's the way to support his journalism. Nick, I know you also have a store too, hoodies.
Yes. Antifraud.com. People can donate, buy hoodies, can buy T-shirts, and also subscribe to the news there as well.
You can see it right here on your screen. Go and support Nick. Godspeed, man. You're one of the real ones.
Thank you.
sometimes you just got to let it rip, Sometimes you just got to, just got to do that interview in the back of the car. And they just make sure that you're getting, sinking your teeth in. There's a man who knows how to do it. A man who spent a lot of time in the United States military doing just that, going where he needs to go, fighting for his country, and going back home and fighting inside of the U.S. Senate. His name is Senator Tim Sheehy, and he's joining us live right now. Senator, hey, how you doing, man?
Pretty good, Ben. How you been?
Apologize about the late start here. We were just in your beautiful state of Montana. Man, this is such a nice state.
Yeah, it's a special spot.
Yeah, and my apologies. We were working through a couple of technical issues with Nick, and his life's literally in danger. He's risking his life in order to tell people what's about to happen if the left gains power again in this country. Do you see that? You ran and unseated a Democrat, because of open borders, in part.
I mean, it was a generational race, ours was, because the control of the Senate, of course, was arguably just as important as Trump winning the presidency. Because if he won the presidency and didn't have the Senate, we wouldn't be able to confirm any cabinet nominees, wouldn't be able to enact any of his policies, and he would have been getting impeached from day one. So our Senate race was the race that decided that. And to your point, a huge aspect of the 24 race across the board from coast to coast was the Americans realizing exactly what Nick is saying, which is Western civilization, our way of life, our entire bedrock of what modern Western society is built on, is threatened by weaponized mass migration. And you see it all over the world. And our southern border became ground zero because our government decided they were going to open the border. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't oh shucks, we lost track of this, or we didn't pay the border patrol and this was a mistake. No, they intentionally opened the border to change this country fundamentally, because they couldn't do it legally, because they realized that Americans wanted safe streets. They wanted a secure border. They wanted Western values. So instead, they decided to change it by force, and that's what they did. And we're seeing the same thing in Spain. We've seen it all over the Western world over the past decade, the recognition that an incredible weapon is mass migration, and it's being used against the entire Western civilization. And luckily, people are waking up. Nick's work and others like him has been incredibly powerful to wake up not attuned to people. People generally don't watching this. The average soccer mom who's got 4 kids is not, tracking every border crossing numbers in Morocco or even our southern border. She's busy. She's trying to keep up with her kid's schedule. And if you don't put it in her face that, hey, do you realize you are being defrauded every single day? Your tax dollars, your borders open, and his work's been incredible.
So yeah, people don't quite understand. You call this a weapon that is being used against the West. By whom and for what purpose?
The Red-Green Alliance goes back a long ways, Benny. The Red-Green Alliance, which is the fusing of Islamism with collectivist, communist, Marxist ideology. This is nothing new. The fact that you have regimes like the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, you have radical leftist, Marxist Neville Roy Singham in China funding anti-American activities, whether it's Code Pink, whether it's migration, or whether it's, of course, a lot of this anti-data center rhetoric, which is also being subsidized by this because they want China to have all the data centers. They don't want us to have any. So this kind of mixture of Marxism mixed with radical Islam has been around for a long time. But these countries, to include China, do not want our economic preeminence. They don't want our Western way of life. They want to destroy it. And Islam, Muslims and Islam as a religion, of course, at the end of the day, we've coexisted for a long time. But Islamism is a different strain of that. And that is a fundamentally expansionist worldview that says we are not a religion. We are a civilization, and we're going to conquer the rest of the world. The Iberian Peninsula, of course, was ground zero for this, because we're talking about Morocco right now with Nick's trip there. This is ground zero for where that struggle between Western civilization and Islamism happened, 1,000+ years ago when the Moors conquered Spain. And that expansionist ideology, Lebanon was a 95% Christian country. Egypt was mainly Christian. Much of the Middle East was Christian up until just a few decades ago. And Hezbollah's growth out of Lebanon was the radical transition of Lebanon from a Christian enclave in a Muslim region to now a radical Shia militant group, of course, supported by Iran. So we have to recognize that Islamism, radical Islamic terrorism of any brand, isn't just a local suicide bomber, local business in the Middle East. They want to bring that to our shores. They want to bring that mindset here. And of course, you and many of us ran on a platform that, listen, we're critical of the forever wars. We don't want to be fighting forever wars anymore. And that's true. But at the same time, we may be done fighting them in the Middle East. They're not done fighting us. And guys like me and from my former community, we're happy and proud to fight them there so we don't have to fight them here, because they will bring the fight to us. As you saw in Michigan, as you're seeing in the U.S., as these radical Islamist protesters are attacking Americans in our own country, they fully intend to come to your front door.
Right. So but that doesn't mean we have to be dropping bombs in Iran. That means we could fight them. I mean, I think more effectively actually with mass deportations. I mean, that's my contention. It's like,
no, yeah. I don't think you're wrong.
It's like,
I think,
I think that there's a stricter border control, in protecting our homeland here, from extremely high gas prices and commodity prices, which you just talked about, right? Is like critical, right? To demonstrate to the American people that we're for things that make their lives day to day easier, not harder. And I think that's like really critical to understand. I mean, forever wars, always unpopular, will always be unpopular. Things that raise gas prices, grocery prices, home prices, always unpopular. And mass deportation is very popular.
As I reminded my staff yesterday,
right.
Obviously we're daily reminded, hey, the war in Iran's unpopular. And I said, well, of course it is. I mean, every war is unpopular. Like, the iconic pictures of the end of World War II, the sailor kissing the girl on the street, like people celebrated when the war was over, not when it started. So wars are inherently unpopular, as they should be. We don't want to be sending our boys and girls to faraway lands that Americans can't even find on a map to die and to spend trillions of dollars. No question that they're unpopular. But unfortunately, especially in the case of these radical lunatics, they will bring the fight to us, and they are now, unfortunately. And as we just mentioned, the mass migration into our country, places like Dearborn that have been taken over. I mean, we now have Sharia law in our country because we allowed them, and in many cases, subsidized them to come here. We paid for this mass migration to come. And it's infuriating for the American taxpayers to realize that their dollars subsidized.
If it weren't for, and respectfully, because I didn't fight in Afghanistan, you did, right, as a Navy SEAL. And I'm not sure if you were in Iraq, but definitely in Afghanistan. And without the war in Afghanistan, there wouldn't have been those giant planes, those C-17s, taking off with infinity Afghans packed inside of them that nobody vetted, right? That nobody even checked who they were. People are falling out of the wheel wells, falling off the wings. And what a nightmare. Like, why, that's why war is unpopular, because we all see how these wars end, right? We all see how they end. And it always ends like that. And you're talking about how that's a weapon of war. Yeah, actually starting those conflicts destabilizes those places. And that's how you get the Syrian migration into Europe. That's how you get the Afghan migration into America. One of those Afghans just killed a National Guard soldier on the street of DC, right? Why the hell is that guy here in the first place? Oh yeah, we destabilized Afghanistan, right?
Well, I wouldn't say we destabilized it, Benny. It was already a chaos hole before we got there. But you're absolutely right. Our withdrawal, the disgraceful shutdown of that with Biden, and how he decided to pull the plug and watch 20 years of sacrifice devolve into, as you said, an importation of millions of people that don't share our values and don't want to see us. Has been a disaster.
What is that? And again, I want to couch this respectfully. I'm not a Navy SEAL. I didn't go over there and fight. You did, right? So my deference is respect for you. But Senator, what the hell went on with George W. Bush? Because you can see the population of what you call a weapon of war, right, which is a Muslim migration to America, that skyrocketed after 9/11. What's that about? Why did that happen? And that seems, that seems counterintuitive, very counterintuitive. We weren't during World War II, let's quick, as many Nazis as can move to Dearborn as possible. Please have them work in the Ford plant, right? But that's what we did after 9/11, which is what's that all about? Why did that happen?
Well, I could talk about this for another hour with you, because you're absolutely right. Someone got to get into it. Unfortunately, I got to go to the Senate floor. But the point you're making, though, is the NGO industrial complex, which Nick has done a fantastic job exposing. has been undermining the security of our country for a long time. And you've talked a lot about it too. I know that the NGOs are not a friend of the American people. The NGOs have partnered with outside activist groups, have partnered with people like Neville Roy Singham, who specifically want to undermine the security of our country. And that's why I think the DOJ efforts and the anti-fraud task force the VP's leading are fantastic, as we are exposing the rot within these NGOs that they're not spending their time making our country stronger. They're spending their time undermining our way of life. And we got to put a stop to it.
My apologies for keeping you. I'm very sorry, Senator. I know you got to go to the Senate floor. Please, can I get just a real parting quick word on the SAVE Act? Will you be passing it today? You'll be president of the Senate today. You're going to pass it. I know it. I know it, Senator.
Yeah, it's time. We voted for it every single time, and it's time for us to get it done. So it's president's priority, and it's ours too.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Godspeed.
All right, thanks, buddy. See ya.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, just rolling. Just rolling. I find it, I never want to be disrespectful to any of the people that have been kind enough to come on our program. Some of these decisions are insane to me. The reason there is so much unlimited migration into Europe and into Western countries is the total and complete destabilization of the Middle East. That's a matter of fact. That is total fact. And it happened actually right after the GWAT wars of Iraq and Afghanistan. You saw Muslim migration to America, which is, of course, has to be allowed by American policy. You saw that skyrocket. Why? That's crazy. It seems totally counterintuitive. It hasn't made, of course, America better. It's enriched no one. Same thing with Somali migration. So, I guess I'm trying to pry for answers here. Certainly don't want to be disrespectful. I have my differing opinions on the war in Iran. I'm not trying to make that the core of my central being, but I do want to sort of realign the talking points to we do care about commodity prices. Groceries are obscenely expensive. Gas is too expensive. Homes are worse than gas and groceries combined. And that's going to have a horrible downstream effect on the lives of Americans. And so that's what this movement should care about. And Iran can sink in the ocean for all I care, along with every other Middle Eastern country, as long as they ship out the oil. Whatever. That's all I care. It's that doesn't, they don't matter to me. They're not my homelands. I don't want to go there. I've never been to Iraq. I've never been to Afghanistan. I don't have any interest in ever going to these places or Iran or any of them. I don't want to go. I just want to, I just want America to be strong. And we can't be strong if we are opening up vectors for the left to win. And the reason why you get so much socialism, we have Rudy Giuliani joining in just a moment. He's getting set right now. The reason why you have so much socialism in a place like New York, I was just in New York, is that things are so damn expensive. And life is so expensive. And young people then turn and look for alternatives. And here, is this poisoned chalice alternative. It's the he who shall not be named, but it's a communist can come in and say, I'm going to give you free grocery stores. I'm going to give you free, as long as you have the right ID. I'm going to give you the free grocery stores. I'm going to give you free buses. I'm going to give you rent control. I'm going to lock all the rent down. And the way that you get that is you create conditions where capitalism becomes unattractive. Why? Because things are so expensive and systems seem so broken and things seem so out of whack and so imbalanced that people start looking for alternatives. They can barely afford to live their lives. They certainly can't start a life. What does a starter home cost? A starter home. People still think it's 1950s. A starter home will just get you a $20,000 starter home. That doesn't exist anymore. That doesn't exist in a trailer park anymore. It doesn't exist anywhere. And so people are starting to see that slip away, that American dream slip away. A man who was, very much, who is still today very much part of the American dream, Rudy Giuliani, is joining the show right now, live, to answer some of these pressing questions for all of us. Welcome, Rudy, back to the program. Rudy, the American dream, out of touch for people.
Oh, come on. How's the family?
But let me tell you what, Mr. Mayor, my family's doing great. And mainly because
you have a lovely family. I always,
because I was in New York and I was finally able to afford my groceries, 30% off. I was finally able to do it.
Take out a mortgage?
Well, no, so I got 30% off and then I had to show my ID. And then I realized, Mondami doesn't want black people or women to eat. He wants to starve them all. That's the evil. Because they can't get ID.
Congratulations on getting your ID. We should have a ceremony.
All right. We got to start with that, man. We got to start with that. How are you going to get free groceries? Oh, I'm going to check everyone's ID.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So why didn't you open up free government-run grocery stores when you were mayor?
God, I grew up in the era where I was taught about atheistic communism, the destructions of socialism, but there really is no distinction, but in the minds of a fool, between socialism and communism. I grew up in the 40s, really the 50s and 60s, and we were trained then, Americans, that this was the enemy that wanted to destroy us. Now we have two. We've got communism and we have extremist Muslims who have come together somehow. But in those days, we were very clear, a Democrat or Republican, were very clear that we may disagree with each other, but we sure as heck knew that the communists had done what Hitler had done, and we ignored it. They wrote down they were going to take us over. And they've been working on it for years. And they have. And they've done a remarkably good job of infiltrating our minds. You think about all the people that, when you take these polls, it's frightening in some ways, heartening in another. You go to Democrats and, oh, gosh almighty, 60, 70% don't like our country. What are they doing here? Now, Republicans, 70 or 80% like our country. Independents are in favor of our country, but not quite as much. So we've had some damage, even among Republicans and independents. But among Democrats, it's devastating, and it's due to communist infiltration of three things, really. The most important things to us, which Karl Marx wrote about all the time: God, take them away; parents, make them useless; and education, brainwash them. And they've done all three, starting in, I'd say, going back slowly to Woodrow Wilson, then with John Dewey and the introduction of the way they did public education. Public education used to be, in Abraham Lincoln's mind, to train, believe it or not, patriotic Americans. In John Dewey's mind, it was to train citizens of the international order that would do away with this renegade group of not very sophisticated people, Americans. So that's where we are right now. We're at sort of an inflection point in that battle, and a big one, and we're very lucky. We have the first president in a long time that recognizes the danger of communism.
I guess you didn't answer the question, because I traveled to New York as a young boy on a tourist trip while you were still mayor, and you didn't give me any government-funded grocery stores. And I got an axe to grind.
Be the worst thing I could do for you.
Please.
But what I had to give you is what my parents gave me and what their parents gave them, and more than likely, the work ethic. I went once to a group of high school students that went to my high school 25 years later, 30 years later. And they were angry at me because I was requiring them to work for welfare. And I said what my father used to say to me when I disagreed with him. And I thought I was going to get all kinds of applause. I said, I'm doing the best thing for you. You're going to hate me now, but you're going to love me 20 years from now. I'm going to make you work. Oh, don't get all upset. I see some of the hands are going like this. You're going to work. And when you get into it, if I could just take a pill and give you the work ethic, I'd solve all our social problems. Forget Great Society, forget Roosevelt. A few kids supported. The rest of them booed the heck out of me. And this is absolutely true, Betty. There's no group of people that come up to me more in New York City than the people that were in my welfare to work program to thank me. People that don't know me don't even understand it. These people will come up to me, 70% Black and Hispanic. They think that the Black people are going to be opposed to me because I'm a Republican. It's not that way. I get more trouble from young whites than I do from black people. And they thank me for one of two things. You got me off welfare, or you made my neighborhood safe. And I know you took a heat for that, because you took the cops out of the white neighborhoods and you put them in the black neighborhoods, because all you were interested in is saving lives, not black or white. I never thought people would realize that. Now, 20 years later, they do. And it's one of the things that got me through all the Biden torture. I knew I had done something really that affected people. Help.
How is this? You've seen the budget of New York City. You ran a tight ship. You had some huge crises and troubles. And New York was better than it's ever been, actually, when you left office. Cleaner and safer and more profitable and more desirable. And of course, everyone thanks you and Seinfeld. But you combine them both, and that's like a force to.
Yeah.
To save a city, saved Gotham. And, but because of that, I just started to ask my third question on this, but how is it going to work? A government run grocery store in New York. How is that going to work? That's what everyone's talking about now.
Well, maybe people can remember the end of the Soviet Union. What brought it down? There was no food in the grocery stores. That's what brought it down. And I am absolutely convinced, as a student of communism, and I'm convinced about this in Iran also. Here's when you overthrow a dictatorship, when the people can't eat anymore. Then everything else goes away. All the ideology goes away. All the brainwashing goes away. When you or your children are starving, you're getting rid of the person who's preventing you from eating. And sure, he's not going to get there. But where he's going to get is much more expensive food. Just one economics of the grocery business. The bigger the grocery chain, the lower the prices in the store. The bigger the chain selling televisions. They used to start at 12,000, they're now 2,000. The more you can sell, the lower you can bring the price and beat your competitor. Well, these government stores are not going to be able to compete with the Walmarts and the gigantic, even in New York, the Big Apples these people have buying power that exceeds one city. So you're not going to get it for less money in the grocery store. You're going to get it for subsidized money. So subsidized money adds to how much more you have to tax, and more Griffins leave, as they should. And when we're out of Griffins and we're getting down to the millionaires and they go, who pays the bills, Benny? Who? The people that work pay the bills. You chase them out, you're going into bankruptcy and disaster. I actually realized that when I came into office. My chief financial people and I sat down and said, we got a choice. We got a $5 billion hole. They lied to us. We got stealing going on. I mean, they're probably stealing right out of Gracie Mansion and City Hall. We just have to stop it. Take all the heat we have to take in the first year or two, and then just pray we can get reelected. And we did. I cut first 15%. It wasn't enough. I cut another 10%. I got rid of about 8,000 workers. I was being pilloried and beaten up, and I don't even know if my approval numbers were above zero. And I just prayed that it would work. And there were times that they didn't think it would. It turned about 2 years, a little less than 2 years into it. And it is true, these external things help. The Seinfeld show, the Crime and Punishment show that was on forever, that did out of New York. The Rangers winning the Stanley Cup. The Knicks getting into the finals for the first time, like they did recently. They didn't win this time, but they got into the finals. And then the New York Yankees winning 4 world championships. Hadn't done that since the 50s. Those little things allow people to take a look up and see, it's better now. Now, if it happens like now, the Knicks win and the New Yorkers look up and they say, it's horrible now, it goes away in a minute. It doesn't have any, it just becomes a frivolous thing, not a deep thing. And you take New York, put it aside. Look at what the president talked about the other night, or yesterday. All the Democratic cities. It's just as bad in Chicago. It's just as bad in Philadelphia. It's just in Boston. Just as bad in Boston. let's keep going. I mean, go on the West Coast. My God, you can't go through one of those Seattle, Portland, without getting probably sick on marijuana yourself by just smelling it.
Central Park, Mr. Mayor. I was just there, had the weekend with my family there, making good on a promise to my firstborn Eloise to take her to the plaza. And so we stayed right there at Trump Tower at One Central Park, One Columbus Circle. And the rancid smell of weed and human urine and the encampments in Central Park, there were encampments. The NYPD was there with a snow shovel, shoveling out the meth dens that had been set up overnight in Central Park. And I asked the guy, he's like, I do it every day. We got to do it every day. And just cleaning. I was filthy. It was filthy. It was disgusting.
So here, think about this. 20 years ago, they didn't have to do that. That's probably 3-4 criminals they can't arrest. What are they doing having to deal with cannabis for, right? When they couldn't get it legally, you'd have 20% of that on the street. And the sanitation department could easily take care of it. The minute you make it legal, they wouldn't listen to this. I was on this mission for 40 years, Benny. If you make it legal, there's going to be 3 times more of it. And they'd say, no, it's going to go down because people will have to go get it legally and the black market will disappear. Black market is worth about 10 times what it was worth before, because they'll get you better weed faster with no restrictions. And the legal people are trying to compete with them, and they're doing all kinds of cheating. So consequently, you just look at the numbers that come out every day, the numbers of overdoses. We didn't have overdoses from marijuana when I was a prosecutor. We had it from heroin, cocaine. Now we have overdoses on marijuana. We have studies that show that even a small amount of marijuana can have an effect on your brain in a strange way, more powerful than some of the more addictive drugs. It has a connection to the part of the brain that has to do with anger. How about that? So we need to get charge of so much. We need to get charge of it. And President Trump is moving along in a very methodical, very effective way as quickly as possible. And that's why these elections maybe, I don't say they're more critical than the last one. You wouldn't have these if it wasn't for the last one. But now that we've gotten past those, this could be a major thrust forward or oof.
So 2 quick things. You are going to have to tax people an enormous amount in order to run a government-run grocery store. They will not work. We've seen them across the country. In Kansas City, they tried to do this, and it collapsed, and they spent $30 million, and it still went completely out of business. Too much crime, too much theft, too many people abusing the system. They create a target on your back, and they won't hire any security. And so I think that it's going to be putting, of course, more of a tax burden on the productive class in New York. And then you have the Pierre d'État tax, where Zoran Mandami just published everyone's address, like all the rich people's addresses, which is not even like rich people. It's really a tax on houses that are like $1 million. And the average cost of anything in New York is something like $899,000. So it's effectively anybody who's like a private homeowner in New York. He just doxed them all. A bunch of libtards are really scared. They're all upset about this now. How could he do this to us? This guy's really.
This is an adoption of a foreign economic program. Capitalism is indigenous to the United States. Maybe Adam Smith in England, but we created our own, and we reached the highest levels of capitalism. Socialism is a creature of pathological Europe. I mean, it comes out of the same school as Freud, sexual experimentation. Marx himself was at various times a Satanist and a pervert. It's a foreign theory that has failed 27 times easily. 25 of those resulting in tremendous violence because it's completely contrary to human nature and it leads to violence. And yet we have our kids educated to believe it's effective because our educational system was undermined, as Karl Marx, Engels, John Dewey intended, by the communists. Don't think the teachers union are not communists. And I'm glad we're beginning to use the word communist and not screwing around with they're progressives, they're socialists. They're atheistic communists. Most importantly, they're anti-America. They hate this country. We love this country. The two parties this election, for the first time, maybe last time close to it, we're going to be the enthusiastic people on both sides that are going to go vote are the Republicans who love America and want to save it, and the Democrats who want to change it into something like Russia, Venezuela, China. They hate America. And they also hate everything about us. They hate our history. They hate Christopher Columbus. They hate Thomas Jefferson. They hate Donald Trump. They hate our military. They hate our police. There's nothing about us that they love. I think they have to question, why are they here? What are you doing here? You can move. There's nothing that keeps you here. If this place is so damn bad for you and your kids, and changing it is tough, why don't you go to one of these other places that are better?
I saw this article yesterday. Want to get your take on it. Election auditor says 200,000 votes cast in the New York City mayoral election are suspicious. And you can dig into the article here. And they ran an analysis of these votes and found that there were hundreds of thousands that were either deceased, didn't have proper social security numbers, or weren't legally registered to vote in New York City. And that with 1.1 million votes going to Mandami, he won by a margin of 200,000. And that's the margin of fraud that this analysis found. Right here, I'm reading directly from the article and from the data. Around 1 million votes cast in the election, 7% of them were from non-existent records, 6% were from a range of social security numbers that are not possible, so fake social security numbers. 10% do not live in New York and cannot legally vote, and 1% have no social security numbers. So, do you think this election was fraudulent?
I don't know. I think the margin was large enough so it didn't have to be. It's a different question than, do I think the Democratic Party cheated in this election? The answer to that is a resounding yes. The Democrat Party has cheated in almost every election since Boss Tweed. And when they don't have to, they do it for practice so that they can do it when they really have to. So the reality is that the Democratic Party in New York could probably be one of the examples, if someone wanted to write a good book about it, as the most crooked enterprise in the history of the United States. It has a history not unlike the mafia. And it worked very closely with the mafia. The head of the Democratic Party in New York for some period of time was the closest friend of the head of the mafia. So we got 170 years of fraud in New York. We've got a judicial system that's a joke. It has very little to do with the fair and equal administration of law. It's either a foreign theory of justice, which isn't justice, more like Russia that Dostoevsky criticized in Crime and Punishment. Sometime we could go over that. But we also have judges that are straight out now crooks. I mean, remember, every Supreme Court justice, they're the ones who hear most of the cases, is appointed by a Democratic boss and pretends to be elected because he gets put on a ballot and he has no opposition. And then when the Democratic boss wants a favor, what do you think the guy has to do if he wants to stay on the bench? Now, if it's a political case, it's granted. If it's another case, some of the judges are honest enough to say no, but they don't get reappointed. If the Democratic leader has a nice relationship with a lawyer, a personal injury lawyer, who has a mill for fixing cases, they can make millions. They do, and I've put some of them in jail.
Some people that I guess I'm glad they're in jail. Klein, could you pop up my window here real fast? Some people that I'm really glad are in jail are these two jihadists that chucked a jar bomb outside of Gracie Mansion, and they tried to kill free speech activists. They nearly killed two NYPD officers, black officers. They dropped the jar bomb filled with explosives. These are real bombs. The FBI deconstructed the bombs, They could have really killed lots of people. They could have killed NYPD officers. These are, again, 2 jihadists that just got here from, I believe, yeah. And we haven't heard anything about it at all. And in fact, the initial response from Zoran Mandami was to blame the free speech activists for the hate and not the jihadists who tried to kill everyone. So we saw an Allahu Akbar stabbing, just last weekend in New York. Is this something we should expect more of?
Yep, of course we should. The mayor empowers it. The mayor doesn't say go kill Jews. The mayor doesn't say go kill Catholics. The mayor doesn't say go kill non-Muslims, but he sure acts like it's not going to bother him so much when it happens. When it does happen, he never reacts. He always waits a while. He finds an excuse that ignores the Allah Akbar part of it, which is pretty damn clear. And then eventually he'll say something very, very minor that to a disturbed person would suggest, yeah, he really agrees with me. For the longest time, they described that as an attack on Gracie Mansion and the mayor. That wasn't an attack on the mayor. It was an attack on us. It was an attack on the people who were opposed to the mayor and doing a pretty good job of exposing it. Clearly, the guy wrote it, the guy planned it, and the guy executed it. But the press and the mayor got away with the first 2 or 3 weeks of it as was an attack on him. By that time, the thrust of it leaves. Look, there was an attack in Berlin last weekend, and I was in Europe. It's very, very hard to get out of the European press that the guy was yelling Allah Akbar when he was attacking the gay people. And the last thing in the world they want to do is to kind of open that division, which is to show that the Muslim extremists are virulently anti-pride, anti-gay, and then we start to go to the more extreme part. They'll just murder you.
Why was there such an increase in allowances of Muslim migration into our nation after September 11th? Why did the Bush administration sort of open the floodgates to Muslim migrants, of which these are actually the children of? Their parents came here from Syria, but in the years after September 11th, and then the other one from Afghanistan.
That's a very good question, Penny. Why would we feel a sense of obligation to the group, and maybe they weren't specifically, advocates of that, but the group that would have more of a suspicion of being connected to those people who came and murdered us in the worst possible way than we usually did? Either we were manipulated beautifully into kind of reverse victimhood. I tried very hard to combat that in 2 ways. First thing I did the night of September 11 is I developed with all the other things we were doing, I developed a really group of really trained people, and we put together a task force to prevent violence to Muslims, to Arabs, or people who look like them. Didn't want that. I didn't want that to become I wanted the reaction to this to be, we were attacked by a 1,600-year-old force that has been one of the most effective in killing Christians and Jews. It's been revived. There's no confusion about what this attack was about. They announced it on the airplanes by yelling Allah Akbar. When somebody is telling me, I'm killing you in the name of my God, I know why you're killing me. I've been a prosecutor for too long to be silly and confused about that. And I didn't want that to be confused with some Americans losing their temper, which they may have been inclined to do. Now, we did it for 3 weeks. We had no major incidents. When they say, and President Trump says, people in the Islamic community, not all, some were cheering, it's absolutely true. It was happening sporadically, but it was shocking my police to see them cheering what these mostly Saudi, but extremist Muslims had accomplished. You realize that the support of it went deeper than just these 13 people, not the whole group, but deeper. And I don't know. I remember President Bush, who I just have a debt of gratitude that can't be repaid for how he helped New York come out of it and the way he went and hit Afghanistan right away. I think there'd have been other attacks. But President Bush started it off with a very bad statement that drove me nuts when he made it. I was in Congress when he gave his speech, and he said something like, the Islamic religion is a peaceful religion. However, the Islamic religion as written is a religion of war, with many people writing it out so they can act like it's a peaceful religion. In the Quran are all of the elements that support and defend what the Islamic Republic of Iran are doing: killing Jews, killing Christians, killing infidels, torturing them, making them slaves and submissive, and trying to create an empire that'll be ruled by Muhammad and the sun god Allah.
So why take that ideology in massive numbers and put them into Dearborn, Michigan? We didn't take a bunch of communists and put them into Dearborn during the Cold War, Vietnam War. We didn't take a bunch of Nazis and put them into Dearborn. We put a few in the space program, but like not, we didn't bring them in hundreds of thousands and millions and put them in charge of like industries and let them run entire cities and towns. So that happened under Bush. It's been stopped under Trump because it's madness. It's a complete madness. Why did that happen?
It's a case of massive manipulation of our weaknesses among the liberals and the left wingers. You weren't affected by it. I wasn't affected by it. But if you are been manipulated all your life in school with Marxism, and you tend to blame America, America's wrong for everything. When I threw the Arab princeling out who gave me $10 million and then said Israel and America were responsible for the attack on September 11th, I said, stick it up, goodbye. You keep the money, jerk. I mean, and condemned everything he said and gave a speech about it so that I could re-educate my people. But there are people who believe that. People who believe now that Israel had as much to do with the attack of September 11, maybe more. It's insane. It's a reversal of the truth, but it's what communists do. It's the whole book, 1984. They reverse truth. The Department of War is known as the Department of Peace, and they convince people that it is. So it's a case of massive brainwashing, destruction of an educational system that removed the tools that we would have to critically analyze that. Many of our children, not all, many of our children do not critically think. They're not capable of it. They don't have the patience to do it. So they can be easily affected by whatever frivolous idiot is in front of them. So we blame the social media for manipulating them. We got to blame ourselves for creating all these minds that are able to be manipulated. I don't think they manipulate you. They're not going to manipulate me. But they can manipulate people who have been prepared for it. And some very large number of Americans, due to the infiltration of our school system, have been manipulated. Infiltration of our media. I mean, our media just reinforces what they come out of that school system and they just reinforce it. The coverage in America, if you look at it, is absurd. It's a complete fraud. It has nothing to do with the news. It's better in Europe, and it's terrible in Europe. I spent 17 days in Europe, read both newspapers, and I was getting more facts helpful to analyze out of the European newspapers than the American ones, except for maybe 3 or 4 American ones that you know.
Final question here, because I can't help myself. Did you chuckle like a little bit internally? Maybe, though you don't seem like one to hold back a laugh when you watched the clip of Zoran Mandami being asked about ID checks at his grocery stores?
Yes, yes. I chuckled, I laughed, and I said, isn't that an indication of exactly who they are? And the only question I have, there are 2 types of them. They're the ones who know they're absolutely being hypocrites, too mild a word, being hypocrites, liars. They know it. He knew exactly the process of mind where he was going to deny that. Then there are those who are that way. They don't know. They have the illness, a recognized psychological projection. Anything bad that they're going to do or think, they project to you. And for him, it's perfectly all right for him to do that, but not for you. Communists have that. Islamic extremists have it because they're serving a higher cause. The communists are serving the cause of taking over the world and making everybody subservient to their mission and getting rid of God, families, everybody stands in the way. And the Islamics are making the empire of Muhammad and the one true religion and getting rid of the Jews and the Christians and all of the infidels. And you can lie, you can cheat, you can kill, you can rape, and you can murder. And that's perfectly moral. So that's what's going on. So yeah, originally I found myself, for example, I'm sure you did when Biden was president, when he would walk in the wrong direction and look like he was going to walk off a cliff, and I'd start to laugh, and then I'd say to myself, "This is a tragedy.
Yes,
this is a tragedy. He got the little button there. This is what when I was a kid in grammar school we used to have science fiction about a president who goes nuts."
It's really sad, actually, and harmful to the soul of America and to who we believe ourselves to be as people. Yeah.
That's where it is.
We are the story. We are like what we believe about ourselves, and to see that diminished, sad, crippled man and how abusive his family was to him, and him occupying the White. I mean, it was a desecration. Yeah. I just can't get over that Zoran Mandami doesn't want women and black people to have food, because they can't get IDs, and and it just makes me sad.
I don't know if you saw that interview. It goes back to the
women and black people, Mr. Mayor. Women and black people can't get IDs. The Democrat Party has told me that. That's why they don't want the SAVE Act. They say it's impossible for them to get these things, and you can't have the SAVE Act because of it.
Despicable racists. There was an interview done about 4 or 5 years ago during the 2020 campaign that I used quite a bit by a reporter. I've forgotten the reporter. He went up to Harlem, right in the center of Harlem, and he went and asked black people if they needed help getting IDs. They almost threw him out. They said, "What are you, stupid?" He said, "Well, where do you get an ID?" Said, "You don't know? Right around the corner." And one of them grabbed him sort of by the lapel and said, don't you know you need an ID to get welfare? You don't think these characters don't have IDs?
Would you be a question? Would you be in favor of a investigation? And there's a lot of members of Congress on here that want the background of Zoran Mandami to be investigated because they say it doesn't pass the smell test. You're not allowed to naturalize communists. Those are still the laws in America. Right. Would you be calling for an investigation into his background?
I think there should be also an investigation of his favorable statements about organizations that have participated in the favorable killing of the massive killing of Americans. Requires an investigation. How far does that go? I mean, I can't imagine. I'd also like the answer. Does he have a security clearance? I don't think de Blasio did. Now, I did when I was mayor, and Bloomberg did. And when I was U.S. attorney, I helped to get the mayors their security clearance. And I had to help the FBI constantly renew them. We don't just give mayors very sensitive information if they're jerk-offs, right?
Of course.
The election doesn't say that we have to give away secrets of the United States to the people that are elected in a local government. Remember, that's why we have this separation of government. Federal government can make its own judgment about that, separate from the state government. And it does. There are mayors in this country that do not know about the terrorists. What the FBI does is find a police organization that you can trust. So when de Blasio was mayor, they had Bill Bratton, who you could trust. Right now, I would imagine it's the police commissioner who is very trustworthy, who has the clearance. But I think first of all, I think he is being investigated, not necessarily criminally, but from a foreign intelligence point of view, I would be shocked if we're not all over him to see who he's communicating with. Because he gives the impression of somebody who could be doing things that jeopardize our country.
It's very interesting because he had to get a meeting with Iran shut down by the State Department. It's like crazy. And then he had to, get told multiple times you're not allowed to arrest world leaders. Whatever you think of Bibi Netanyahu or any other world leader, you're not allowed. You're a mayor. You're not allowed to go arrest world leader. You're not a dictator.
That would have been illegal. It would have been
Right.
illegal. It would have been an illegal arrest, and he could have been arrested for it, and he could have been sued for it. The International Court of Justice has no jurisdiction. It would be as if Putin issued an arrest warrant for me or you, and or Xi Jinping or the Ayatollah. It has no authority. It's a false arrest. That's what he was recommending the crime of false arrest for the Prime Minister of Israel. And also spending his time with people who were involved in the 1993 murder of New Yorkers for the cause of Islam. The guy he describes as the most powerful imam in New York, co-conspirator in the 1993 bombing. And much more than a co-conspirator, evidence about his involvement in helping to hide the blind sheikh who did it. He promotes this guy as the most prominent voice in the Islamic community. And if you consider, and I know that people, when they hear me or any of us, when we talk about the bad part of the Muslim, they don't talk about the good part of the Muslim. There are a lot of very, very good Muslims. There are a lot of Muslims that want to be led in the right direction. There are a lot of Muslims who are going in the right direction. But then when you start electing the ones that are going in the wrong direction, you throw everything off. The marginal people in the Muslim community move in that direction. And the rest of the country starts to define the whole community that way. And so the Mandamis, the guy up for election tonight, everybody better stay up late tonight to see if we aren't sending another communist, Islamic, terrorist-loving guy to the Senate, Sayad.
Yes.
I can't believe this. The things that he says, and he has a liberal Democrat running against him. I mean, I wouldn't vote for her because she's too liberal. In that election, I'd vote for her to save my life.
Only available in Michigan because under the Bush administration, Dearborn didn't used to be like that. Dearborn was where we built tanks during World War II, but because they have allowed
we used to make cars there.
Yes,
more than any place in the world. I represented Ford Motor Company, and I lived there on and off for 3 years. All I remember were car workers.
Yes, so something horribly has gone wrong, and that's exactly how we get to this place. And
beautiful city, by the way. It was. I love Dearborn. I love my time there.
Nobody's explained it. No, certainly nobody has apologized for it. But yeah, I mean that wouldn't surprise me one little bit if he's under investigation for his foreign ties, because he's behaving like a foreign leader in our country. He's behaving like
I have no inside information. I know the people involved this time. I didn't last time. I know their integrity and I know their love of this country and their responsibilities. After all, I had them for 17 years. If I were in any of those positions, AG, head of the FBI, there's no way these people weren't being investigated. And if you said it was political, I'd just tell you to go to hell. I mean, you're political. You're trying to interfere with my ability to protect not only the people of my country, but my country. You want to take my country away from me and my children. Even the idea that they want to do away with the Senate, the Supreme Court, they want to substitute a government based on their idiotic wisdom as opposed to the founding fathers. They've come up with a better form of government than the longest standing representative democracy in the history of the world has. That has become the dominant country in the world, not just from power, but from decisions we have the biggest poll in the world that tells us we're the best country. It's the people coming over the border. And we're going to make major changes in that? Of course we're going to fix it. Of course we're going to improve it. Of course we keep learning, slavery was wrong. Jim Crow was wrong. Democrats were wrong about that. They're the ones who proposed it. We Republicans died to save them. All the deaths in the Civil War, aside from some very brave black people, were mostly white and mostly Republican. The party that supported the war, keeping the black slaves, were Democrats, and then they kept them inferior for 100 years. So I don't understand this, except we have distorted history. We've turned it around. We've taken the greatest country on earth and made him the bad guy. That's a hell of a thing to have done.
I pray the American people will reject it. I guess I just have to pray, because
I do too.
God's got to have our back in all this. But we're thankful that we have your back, Rudy, and we hope that your back's feeling.
You do, and
we hope your back's feeling better after that little car accident, and we are thankful to see you back in action and energetic. And obviously, you should follow Rudy Giuliani. And here's his X account. He got 2 million subscribers right here. Got the Rudy Giuliani Show, obviously, as well. And America's Mayor. Always a pleasure to talk to you. We're like two old ladies in a salon, like kindred spirits.
I think we're true Americans, and we should be proud of it. And we're bringing up families of Americans, and maybe that's the best thing we're doing. But we're also informing. We're serving free speech, and I feel very, very good about that. Yes. And I really admire you, Benny. You do a great job.
Right back at you, Mr. Mayor. Godspeed, and
always a pleasure to be with you.
We'll catch you. See ya. Always an exciting time to have a stacked show like this. I don't normally want to lock in like a 2 hour. It's been an hour and 40 minutes, but man, what a stacked show. What a fascinating group of people to talk to. It's always a privilege to do it. We hope that you enjoy it. It takes a little bit of caffeine to get it done. My coffee cup here in front of me every single day. My blackout coffee inside of that coffee cup. If your morning coffee tastes like cardboard, we need to fix that immediately. You have to be a tasting real, true, proper, bold, smooth, black coffee, blackout coffee, ladies and gentlemen, is not weak, watered down stuff. It's the kind of stuff that gets your blood going, gets the people going, and it gives you the energy to fight the communists. And this is why we drink it every single morning. Go to blackout.com, blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Correction there. Use Benny for 20% off your first order. That's blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Join the coffee club today and upgrade your morning's coffee delivery right to your door. Okay. Let's go ahead and check. Are these communists going to win tonight? Let's find out. Polymarket here. Let's check what are going to be the chances. The Michigan Senate primary winner, Abdul El Said, has a 98% chance of winning. So that's pretty strong right there. So you're going to have El Said. Amazing. From Michigan. Get ready. Of course, this is the Democrat primary, but it's, a real question about where are we headed as a country here, man. Now, this is the communist who's running, but also the Islamist who's running here. And he'll be facing Mike Rogers, Republican. So where are we as a nation? Where are we as a country? Be a huge, huge pickup for us if we were able to win Michigan. Mike Rogers is polling well, but the battle starts tonight and tomorrow for the future of the country. This is going to be a big one. Ladies and gentlemen, stay locked in with your verse of the day. Very important verse of the day. Here we go from Isaiah. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. Isaiah 41. Don't fear. God's got us. Don't try and solve all the world's problems. Certainly don't bring the tribal and blood wars of ancient foundations of the earth upon your shores if you don't have to. Don't mess with that kind of stuff. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of thing, right? Oh, you have to be careful. And ensure that you can walk sturdy and upright, knowing that God's got you, man. Don't be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and I will help you. Oh, we need a lot of that right now. Lock in, keep fighting, and know that we will always have the victory. In the end, we win. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.